We all have moments when we wish we could go back. Back to simpler times, back to when life felt easier, or back to when we were just kids. But how do we balance those feelings with the reality of growing up? In this video, I want to talk about nostalgia, how it impacts us, and why accepting the end of our childhood might be one of the most freeing things we can actually do. This idea hit me really hard recently when I've been reading No Longer Human by the Japanese author Osamu Dazai, which is considered a major work in modern Japanese literature. It's a very introspective book. It really brought me back to some of the experiences I've had, especially in my late teens and early 20s. But also some of the things I remember when I was a kid on the playground and I played a bunch of Pokemon. The thing is, nostalgia is kinda like a drug. It can feel like a warm blanket. It's comforting, but it can also trap us in the past if we're not careful. For me, I can easily get caught up in the loop of if I look up some old Pokemon games or Yu-Gi-Oh anime or anything that caught my attention when I was a child. That is the easiest way for me to get caught in the rabbit hole of just listening to old soundtracks and taking me back to simpler times when I didn't have much responsibility and I could just play games for multiple hours a day. Research shows that nostalgia helps us feel connected to our past and it can even boost our mood. But too much nostalgia can make us long for a world that no longer exists. Something I've thought about a lot in my late 20s, I'm currently 29 years old, is that when we idolize the quote-unquote good old days, we often tend to forget that they weren't perfect. They came with a lot of struggle, a lot of pain. And as kids, we couldn't wait to grow up. I wanted to become something great. I wanted to have a nice car. I wanted all these things. But now that we're here, it's kind of funny that we miss what we had. We actually want to go back and experience just a sliver of what we had. And which is actually the reason you're watching this video, that I wanted to make Neosphere and go back and play some old Pokemon games again. Because I remember I thought adulthood meant freedom. I thought I could go anywhere. I could stay up late, do whatever I wanted. But man, that freedom comes with so many responsibilities, bills, jobs, and endless emails. For me, the turning point was definitely during the lockdown. I graduated university back in 2019, and I graduated way earlier than most of my peers. So I started right after going to high school. And that meant I had a master's degree at age 23, which there are some people here in Denmark, they regularly finish at age 28. So I wrapped up my studies, the lockdown came, and I started a YouTube channel again for, I think, the third time. And it was a self-development channel, actually just like this one, just without the Pokemon gameplay. And I made a video titled, I'm 26 and I feel my youth slipping away. And I think it was actually my most viewed video at the time with around 500 views. And there I reflected, kind of like I did here, about how I could definitely feel something changing as I left the university scene and I had to get a quote-unquote real job. I'm now entering a new phase of my life. After the lockdown, I pretty much abandoned video games completely. I played a lot of Warzone and Call of Duty during the lockdown, but as I started my new job, I left a lot of things behind, and I feel like I left an important part of my childhood behind. And it wasn't easy to say goodbye to the past, but I felt like it was necessary at the time to make room for the future. But now I think I have a bit more of a healthy view on nostalgia versus growth. I don't think nostalgia is the enemy. It's okay to look back fondly on games you loved, experiences you've had, but don't let it stop you from moving forward. I think the most dangerous thing is just laying down in bed and reminiscing for hours and hours on what happened back then, what could have been, missed opportunities. I think our childhood memories should inspire us and not hold us back. And the same goes for our teens and our early 20s. And one of the ways I found we can reclaim some of that carefreeness of our childhood is to break up the monotony. I had a talk with a friend a couple of months ago and we were out having sushi, and on the walk home he told me that he felt like life was getting really monotonous. It's just go to work, go home, work even more, because both me and him, we have a side hustle that we work on. And then we go to the gym and then we go to bed, and that's pretty much our life. And then we spend some time with our girlfriend and occasionally friends. But what I told him back then, and what I still believe is a great cure to this, is we need to break the routine. We need to make time for adventure. We need to do something that's out of the box. Try something new. This year I took a motorcycle license, because I knew I wanted to do it one day. I've actually been in love with motorcycles since I was a kid. And that for me was a way to break the routine, that this was just the time where something new needed to happen. And I had another friend who asked me if I had a motorcycle license. I said no, and then he mentioned he was gonna get his license. So I decided, why not? I'm just gonna do it now. So my suggestion is plan some adventures, try some new hobbies, or just take a different route to work. These small changes, they really make life feel fresh again. When I started my new job 2 years ago, I would take different bike rides home almost every day. just because I was getting back into that exploratory, adventurous mood. And it was great. It really added something small to my everyday life that broke up the monotony. The reason that we say, you remember the good old days? These are the good old days now. What's going on right now is gonna be the good old days a couple of years from now. And when I look back at all the situations in the last probably 20 years, or maybe not 20 years because I can't remember everything that happened during my childhood, but most of the things that happened during my teen years and my 20s, some of them, I saw them as struggles when I went through them. But now I can see the beautiful things in those moments. And they were really precious to me, the memories I created back then, even if they were tough times. And accepting the end of these good times and your childhood, it doesn't mean losing it. It means that you're carrying those lessons and memories with you into the future. And growing up doesn't mean that you let go of who you were. It means that you're building on top of that to become someone even better. I would say, instead of longing for what's gone, let's focus on what's ahead. Life's too short to waste on regrets. You don't want to be on your deathbed, just wondering, what if? And no matter how tough you think it is currently, life has so many beautiful things to offer in the future. So I hope this video will serve you as a great reminder that it's okay to feel nostalgic. It's okay to miss the past, but don't forget, the best days of your life might still be ahead of you. I'm pretty sure they are for me. And I want to thank you for letting me share this journey with you. If you ever felt the pull of nostalgia, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And let's keep moving forward together.